In this episode, I have a one-on-one conversation with Holley.
This is part 3 of Rosalee's Dream Come True.
Welcome to the Plumb podcast. I'm Rosalee.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Plumb Collective.
Part 1 of this story is the pre-reading message that Rosalee recorded for Holley when they were dancing with Holley's energy. Part 2 is Holley's Plumb Point intuitive photo reading.
The starting point for this conversation is Holley's photo reading and her experience. Witness me meet Holley in real time for the first time. Holley and I felt like we knew each other, like we were connected, because we are. The feeling I was looking for in the live photo reading, I never got to experience. I feel the feeling in this conversation. It's present. It is my dream come true. And the 3 parts of this story come together and show you what it's like to be me connecting to another person's energy.
This podcast episode is longer than our typical episode, and it is absolutely worth hanging around for the whole thing. So much of a story can be told through body language, and that is very present in this conversation. So the first time you listen to this, if you just listen to it in headphones or on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts and you just listen to it as a podcast, that's a great layer 1 of listening. And when you come back to listen again, because we do encourage you to listen to it more than once, because you will get more out of it that way. The next time you listen to it, pull it up on YouTube and watch these 2 beautiful souls in conversation, because there's so much that they both communicate through their gestures and body language that you'll see even more connection between the 2 of them than you can just hear with your ears.
Hi.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Oh my God, you are gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
We got to get our excited energy.
Seriously, I feel like I know you already, and it's just very exciting to actually be in the same space at the same time with you. So,
Oh, it is. I feel the same. I'm gonna cry. So
I will be crying too.
Oh, it's just so wonderful to see you and be with you. Yeah, at the same time, it really has felt like we've been in this liminal space together. To be in real time is an experience. So
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that you were open to this.
Of course. First of all, I want to check in with you. Is everything good on my end for you? Like,
Perfect. Absolutely
okay,
perfect. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm so interested in what you're doing, and I've already experienced like an internal shift for myself that I'm interested in following and kind of seeing what happens with that. So, yeah, it's an honor, an absolute honor to be here. So.
Well, thank you. We can just have a conversation. It can just be whatever it is.
Okay.
If there's things that we talk about that you're like,
Yeah.
or I will feel like, no, I want to protect that and this is private. We'll keep that out of anything. I just want you to feel comfortable.
I do. I was thinking about it this morning and I was like, am I doing something dangerous for myself? And I'm not. I know that. I know I'm not. I trust you. I trust whatever is going to happen. I feel very taken care of. So I feel the need to say that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm so glad. I mean, that really is my intention.
Yeah.
And so I just want to start with whatever you want to talk about.
What's so interesting is I re-listened this morning. I'd already re-listened like 3 times. This is the longest time in between re-listen. I was not expecting to hear new things, to be honest. I was like, this will be just a good refresher. Like, I know what the meat is or whatever. And like, I know what the vibe of the, but I heard new things. I heard things that I don't even remember you saying. And these are the new things that I heard. You talked about expansion. The initial things that I took from the reading, the main thing that really hit me on that first listen was that idea of looking into myself and birthing myself and thinking of like what I give to the world, to my surroundings in that way, which is not what I've been doing. It has not been looking into myself, and it has been even as I'm saying this, what something you said makes sense, where you were like, you're moving from your cervix, and you're like, you need like where you want to be, and correct me if I'm misinterpreting things, but like is from the source of like creativity. And I'm realizing now that I'm connecting those dots now, where I'm like, okay, so what I was giving, how I was giving, I think is coming from that old idea of mother.
Yeah.
Anyway, that I kind of went off on a tangent there, but that is the main thing.
I have to tell you, I love tangents. We're in the flow together.
Right, great, thank you.
Yeah.
I will actually, this is a good reminder. I will stop thinking about what other people are, if it's making sense to other people. Like, it makes sense to me. That was the thing I took from the reading, was that image. And I have continued to use that image in my life as a sort of like centering moment, to kind of think like, okay, how am I thinking about this situation, whatever it is, like whatever I want. And I so rarely think about it from inside myself first. And then when I re-listened this morning, the new stuff, I'm just going to read what I have down. I said, I heard new things, expansion. Of course, there is pain, loss, feeling. I am expanding. I don't remember that. And that is true. I am not moving away. I am expanding. And then I thought of the starter. I thought like, oh, source, starter, that expands. Like, that is what it is. These kombucha yeast starter that, like they grow. Anyway, so that connection was really profound, I guess, in like a simple way, where I was like, oh, I didn't even hear that the first time. And then that connected with me, that sense of always looking out first. Okay, this is more about like, what do I want? Like really thinking about what I want instead of feeling what others want from me, and thinking that like that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my calling. That's my job, is that like I know what the people around me need, and I'm sensitive and I can do that. So why not? And I think it's come at a cost that I am feeling now, personally and like creatively, I think. And this is this is so funny, because as I was writing, I was like, what do I want? And that desire to like manage and help, I think is how I think of it in my mind, others, is so deeply rooted that while I was journaling about this is the sentence that I wrote: always looking out first. But the point is, the sentiment that I was trying to write down was like, I need to think about myself first before I help others or do anything with my life. And the two times I tried to write that down, this is why this doesn't make sense. It's because I circled it and I said, ha, wow, deeply rooted, as opposed to, okay, so what I wrote was, I know I don't need to apologize, but I'm sorry. Okay. Always looking out first, as opposed to searching for what others need. And I said, ha, wow, deeply rooted. So whatever I wrote, I like had the idea, and then midway through the sentence, I switched it around to the old rooted ways. So I think what I meant to be writing was I was trying to state the thing, and it happened again. I wrote, being the author of your own story, which is definitely something you said that I am like trying to take. And I did it again. Before practicing being yourself, and what I meant was before practicing being someone else, be yourself, know yourself. And that is also something you said. You were talking about as an actor before this process of like constantly looking for the other thing that I need to bring in. Anyway, I just thought that was so funny because it happened twice. Like in one, like with that much space, it happened twice. And I was like, oh, that's how deep it is. This abandoning of self, I think. It's funny and also kind of sad. Writing is like it's just me, it's just you and yourself. And to even get jumbled in that was like a lot to see. And the stuff about your children are your mother. For me, I think what I've realized, especially the past few days, for me right now, I think it's literally the children that I have in this lifetime is my mom. That's who my child is. It's my mom.
Yeah.
I think it's hard at this moment. I think we're very similar ages. I just turned 43. I feel like this is like a shifting moment, I think, in a bunch of different ways. And right now, I think there's career stuff happening that's unknown. There's like stuff happening with my body, with perimenopause, that's unknown. And this time that I've come home to like help my mother through this healing time, there's all this stuff that makes me feel very scared of the unknown. I think the realization of my child being my mother is kind of compounding that. Like this experience is making it maybe even a little scarier in the moment because I don't feel like I have a mom.
Oh, Holly. I mean, I'm
just
so, oh, go ahead.
I just rambled. Like that was like
No, it's perfect.
yeah.
It's perfect. I want you to feel comfortable to express yourself, to say whatever. And it doesn't have to connect or make sense or be for anybody else. It's for you. I'm so proud of you in the scary transitional stuff, the unknown, real life, day-to-day shit that you're dealing with. You're noticing things, you're observing, you're paying attention to how you feel. That's incredible. One thing that really stands out to me is use the phrase self-abandonment, seeing yourself writing these things. It's you and you. Nobody else was going to read it, that it can flip even in that short period of writing in that paragraph. This might be too strong of a word, but there's a punishing quality to the idea of self-abandonment. Like you did something wrong, or that if you had just not been abandoning yourself, that you wouldn't have written this way or something. And I just want to reframe that just slightly. What I think you're noticing is the automatic tracks, these deep grooved that are automatic, how you've had to be. This experience with your mother is probably new in some of the ways, the things that she's dealing with, her aging or your age, the ages that you are and whatever, but they're most likely are like tentacles that go back to when you were the baby and she was the mother. You're feeling the energetics of it and getting to see it in this dynamic. When I was with your energy and feeling this, oh yeah, the obvious thing would be that you're an actor and that you're playing roles and characters. Like, yeah, duh. Like, and it just was so, I can't tell you how satisfying it was to read your.
I'm sure. I mean, I literally can't imagine, but like that must have been really nice for you.
It was cool. And it's like, that's why I don't Google anybody. I don't want to
Yeah.
know anybody's last names or any details. I
Yeah.
don't want to know your question. I don't want to know anything because I want to have that experience of like, oh my God,
Right.
this is so cool.
Yeah.
So it was that feeling of course you're creative. Of course you're a star. Of course you have this talent and confidence in this area. Duh. That was just my overwhelming feeling. Duh. Of course you're fantastic. And then it was like, yeah, and that's a parable. That's something that you could look at and see that in this area, you play this character and you are doing this job for
Yeah.
this specific
Yeah.
thing and looking out to the director and to the audience and all
Yes.
that. And I hear you saying that in this stuff with your mother as well. And it's like, that's why for me, I kept feeling like this swatting feeling of like, it's not the specifics about your mom because it could be like I could have gone into that, but it's not about your mother, even
Yeah.
though it is about your mother. And it's
Right.
not about my mother, even though it is about my mother. When you're in it, it is that automatic confusing where you're writing something and you're like, well, that's not even what I meant to write
Right.
in it. But then to stand back and look at it like, okay, I've been performing some role here. I've been doing something, and it's because that's what was needed. I needed
Mhm.
to be this person, or I had to take on this character because that's what the director, that's what the audience, that's what everybody needed me to be. I have it, so I can be whatever.
Right.
It's like flipping that
Right.
to who am I and what do I want? How do I feel? And then from there.
Yes, that idea of I have it so I can, I think I apply that everywhere in my life. I don't think that's something that should be so freely like done. I don't know. I just I really understand that. Those qualities, I don't have these things because I'm an actor. I'm an actor because I have these things. There's something just so subtle about like shifting that where it's about myself as opposed to the utility of that and what I think I should be doing with this energy or these qualities or whatever. It's okay to keep them close or at least not be so free flung with your own personal energy. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes complete sense. It's like
Okay.
you're capable. You
Yes.
have it. You
So
can do
why not do it all the
right.
time? And the
Right.
reason is because it comes at a cost. I am not quite aware of what that means exactly. But I'm figuring it out.
You don't have to have it figured out. But when
Yeah.
you are feeling that there is a cost, what do you notice about that feeling? What do you sense is part of that cost?
For me personally, I'm I struggle with depression a lot. When I feel like not great, it is always related to the life force. And um, so when I feel like I want to die, that's it,
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to die. And my whole life is like finding the things that keep me here. Um, and I think if I'm not like wise about how I live my life, um, it's dangerous. I mean, not to be like over
I,
dramatic, but it's really important for me to keep doing things or finding things that don't make me want to die. I'm starting to realize being an artist is part of that. That is part of why I'm doing what I do for a living and why I'm interested in the things I'm interested in. I have no doubt it's why I was drawn to you, like the authenticity of moving forward, living and finding the reason.
Thank you for sharing the feelings. It's understandable. It makes sense. When you say life force, that's part of it. Can you say a little bit more about what you mean about that?
Yeah, I guess some of it is like putting energy into something that doesn't reciprocate, I think. I don't quite know, but there's something about putting something out there and it not coming back to me, I guess. When I say life force, I think.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question that might be helpful to identify this. When you're saying life force, positionally, does it feel like it's something that's going out from you, or do you feel it in you, or is
Yeah,
it
I
like,
feel it
okay,
here and I feel depleted, like I feel like it can be depleted.
what I hear, this is the
Mhm.
language that I hear from the
Yeah.
feelings you're describing and from witnessing you and feeling your energy. When you're experiencing depression,
Mhm.
even the word depressed, it's like
Mhm.
something's pressing on you.
Mhm.
And it feels like squeezing. Life hands you lemons, the
Right.
lemonade
Yeah.
thing.
When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. There's also, is the juice worth the
Worth the
squeeze?
squeeze. Okay, yes, both of those. We can look at those times of being squeezed and
Mhm.
feeling that pressure and that life force being squeezed out of us, stifled, strangled, snuffed
Mhm.
out,
Mhm.
water poured on our fire, finished in some kind of way, depleted,
Suffocated.
suffocated. Yes, exactly. I hear you saying not having a return on it. It's not worth the squeeze. There
Yeah.
is this cost, and then you end up in this place that, to me, it would be very understandable that would grow resentment, that would
Yes.
have anger and feelings.
Yes.
But anger and resentment has energy to it that is life-giving and can sustain
Mhm.
that, like, well, then fuck everybody. It's like or I'm gonna
Yeah.
show them or some kind of thing. But then that when that kind of fades away, then there's even a deeper sadness or a deeper
Yeah.
feeling of like it wasn't worth it.
Yes.
That loop is a circular sensation that is external from you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then what I shared in your reading,
Mhm.
oh, it makes me just want to cry. How we think we experience life is in this like linear, well, this
Right.
happened, and this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and it's all
Right.
in this straight line and blah, 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 blah. But
Right.
that's not actually how it is. We're in these loops, we're in this circular movement of something, and
Mhm.
it's often detrimental to us and diminishing to our spirit and depressing and not worth the squeeze.
Mhm.
So we try to reinvent the wheel or do
Mhm.
it differently or be like, okay, well, I'm not going to do any of that and I'm going to do this. And we do
Yeah.
this linear thinking about it. And that doesn't work because that's not the automatic track of what's happening. Me offering to you this, well, I mean, your energy told me about it. I'm translating the message to go, okay, no, I'm not doing external. That's not what this is about. When it's my life force, that to me is just another way of saying source. It's another way of saying
Yeah.
soul and energy,
Yep.
and creative spirit and your artistry and like
Yes.
who you are and mother, child,
Yeah.
sibling, like all of the roles,
All of
all of
it.
it,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like if you're in this external loop, you're not really in it. You're
Right.
absorbing it and you're going around it intellectually. But the embodied experience really is when you go, okay, how do I feel and what do I want? And then I'm going to express from here.
I guess I'm like, why is it so hard for me to access that? Like even while you're talking, I'm like, totally, 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 totally. In my head, I'm like, right, I work so hard on how I am and like fixing things, and I'm so tired. And hearing you say that, I'm like, okay, right. I need to like, I actually, it would be helpful to let that go a little bit. and not focus so much on attachment issues, talking about things in like, who am I? Why do I react this way? Why do I react that way? When you say stuff like, those are all external things, and like, what is, then all of a sudden I'm like, huh? Like, I don't know what's, I don't know. All of a sudden I don't know anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like a little floating, I don't know, toad on a saucer.
This is just the truth from my perspective. You do know. You are discovering it. In reconnection with yourself, you weren't taught to connect to yourself that way. You were actually taught by society and by people around you to be disconnected because you are so capable, because you are so brilliant. Your light shines so brightly that everybody can see it. Everybody wants it. It's fucked up, but I
Yeah.
identify with this as well. It's like, when you have it, you're capable, you're able to manage whatever, you can handle it. When people can't, they get vindictive or they get weird. You are kind, you're generous, you want the best for other people, you have good intentions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people can sniff that out and they go, okay, well, I want that. I need you to give me and do for me. It's a pattern that was created. It's not even necessarily your parents' fault. It's societal. I don't think it's that effective to get mad at any particular thing, because that's, again, focusing externally. You are noticing things about yourself. You are committed to connecting with yourself. You are a Plumb practice member.
I am.
You are participating. But it's designed to be gentle and incremental. You are experiencing the shifts already, Holley. Like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
So I know it can feel at moments where you're like, I don't know anything. And this is, well, how? It's not uncommon for me to say something profound and for my client to go, okay, but how?
Sounds great.
How do I bring that into my life? You have the intention for it. You
Yeah.
have the heart's desire for it. You are taking actions that are in alignment with it. It is happening because you're so effective, because you're so capable. You're used to the automatic or expected result of, if I work hard, if I effort, if I do my best, then something, and then I'll see some result.
Yeah.
This is energetics. It's not going to look like an award ceremony or a grand opening day or whatever. It's going to be these moment to moment, incremental, seemingly insignificant, hardly noticeable. The fact that you were able to hear something that you hadn't heard before and you'd listened to it multiple times, that is proof. That's evidence. That something has shifted, that you are able to hear something about yourself.
You're so right. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And it's like, that is that internal dialogue. To me, it feels like the efforting, the care, the help, the extension to other people that you've done. You know that you're good at that. You know that you help people, that you do a good job, that you are a caregiver. You're given that care. Can you flip it around and bring it back this way? It's understandable that I'm going to have these gremlins, this self-talk, this that comes up that is telling me, oh, I don't know, and how am I going to do it, and this isn't working, or blah, 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 whatever those voices are. That's your only responsibility in that moment. That's mothering yourself to go, I have esteem for myself. I have tenderness for myself. I care for myself. I am caregiving. I'm giving care to myself. And so in those moments, I just need to remind myself, I need to give myself my own little pep talk, or listen to your reading again, or,
Right.
send
Right.
an email, or, like
Yes.
reach out. If you're going to reach out, reaching out to someone that
Yeah.
over here, that sees you, feels you,
Yeah.
and it's going to just remind you of things you already know. The
Yeah.
things that I'm sharing with you might feel new, or might feel like I'm the mind blown emoji. Or when you really feel it, it's like, oh yeah, I do know that about myself. I do know that
Yeah.
feels right. It feels true.
Of course, I'm not feeling the return because it's not about me, but not in the good way. In like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
putting my energy on things that like I may be helpful, but it's actually not, that's not my story. That's not my story. That's not, like, and I think somewhere along the way, I have placed more value. I've somehow made that so much a part of me. I think that I'm not like tending to my own. This is the story that I can actually like affect. That image is just
Right.
that it's so succinct, Rosalie. It's like that is the thing. And I'm just realizing like how many different ways that image is showing up.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm inspired by you.
Thank,
Like,
thank you. It's been so helpful. It's been so helpful. It just feels divine, just like in the best way. Finding this, I think, is also part of the healing. I believe that something happened in order to open myself up to this and to reach out to you. I just know it's like part of a bigger thing.
it absolutely feels that way for me too. Would you like to say anything about why you reached out, or why you
Yeah.
wanted to have a reading with me?
Yeah. I mean, I love energetic stuff, period. I just like I believe it's just as important as anything else. I'm on TikTok, but I don't post anything. I just watch and I follow things, and it's just a source of entertainment and also good healing stuff for me. And so I saw you on TikTok and you're so authentic. I just like I everything you present is so honest, and um I just immediately connected with your energy and your story, and the more I looked into it, I was like, I knew I was going to do it. Like I knew I was going to get a photo reading with you, and I just didn't know when. I was like, I'll know when. And then I don't know if it was the first video you've talked about this, but it was a very in-depth video about the betrayal that you went through. And that was the kicker for me, where I was like, I felt I felt like I believed so much in what you were doing that I knew that this I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but I'm like, I knew it would be helpful to you as well. I was like, I just know that they know exactly what they're doing. And like if I participate in this, it will not only benefit myself, but it will also benefit them, because I felt so strongly about it. And I'm glad I followed that nudge. And I also think following that sounds circular, but like following that nudge is part of this. It's part of just like listening to myself more. Um, and finding people who are interested in that as well, that like that's the shared goal. Let's find authenticity and healing and connection.
I'm so thankful that you did. This morning, re-listening to your reading
Yeah,
and
tell me,
hearing
tell me.
myself, well, I heard myself say, I I think you are feeling that this would be helpful to me.
Yes.
Like, I
Yes.
said that,
Yes.
that you know
Yes.
that you're helping me. And I
Yes.
just, to then have you respond in the email and say that that was absolutely why you, and I just was like, oh my God, this is so great. And I do think it's a perfect example of the like merger of the automatic track of like you wanting to help. You wanted to help me. You knew you could help me.
That's so funny. Yes.
But is it not the most perfect example of
Yeah.
it? It's like the old way of doing it
Yes.
and the new way
It
at the same
led.
time,
Yeah.
because you felt it. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like, I know I can and I'm going to, but there's something in it for me as well.
Yeah.
And I am curious if you think about some of the other times where you have felt that you didn't get a return on your help. When you did that first extension, my guess, my hypothesis is
Mhm.
that you weren't thinking that there would be something in it for you or that you would get something.
That's really interesting. I'm gonna have to sit with that
Yeah.
more, because that's so like my energy going into a situation affects simple what I get out of it.
Yes.
Who me? Who me in my own life? I could affect my own life. I think that's yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that's why it's so simple. That's why the visual is so simple.
Yep.
That's why me saying like, yeah, it feels like it's out of your control because you don't know it's in your command.
Right.
It's
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. I mean, I know that I'm a quote a minute sometimes, but when I
Yeah.
said that, I was like, that's one, we need to write that one down.
Because it's yes, there is a difference in control and command. It's
Yeah, and it makes so much sense to me. I mean, I barely know anything about the actual details of your childhood or your
right,
mother, or, you know, like,
right.
I don't know the specifics, but from what I felt, it makes sense to me. And then what you shared about the difference in your childhood after having a
Yeah,
sibling, where it's
yeah.
like, of course, it just makes so much sense to me that you would have just had to
Mhm,
be a certain way, a helper, a
mhm,
older sibling, a
mhm.
person who is so capable and can do things. And then it does feel good to help people.
Yeah,
There,
yeah.
you do get something out of it.
Yes.
But when the balance is off, or when it becomes, and it's not manipulative. So when I'm saying
No.
control or whatever, it's not any, I just want to be like abundantly clear.
Yes.
But there is something about that that ends up like you might trick yourself into thinking,
Mhm.
well, I I didn't get anything back because my intent, I wasn't really, it wasn't clean, or it wasn't like as pristine, or
That's not why I was doing it. Yeah. But if it were if I was on the other side, I would, it's yeah.
exactly.
It's like I talk about this. This is something that's like I'm working on in like my talk therapy stuff too, but it's like doing things for other people, even if it doesn't come from like a a, a manipulative place or like a place of I'm doing this to get something back. I think that's kind of what you said earlier. There is always the opportunity for resentment to sneak in there through nobody's fault, really, especially if you're just like a helper in the world, if that's kind of how you think of yourself, which is how I think of myself a lot. But I think I have control over that resentment that sneaks in by the way I bring myself to my life, to what I choose to give.
I mean, it's nuanced. I'm not going to look it up in the dictionary right now, but I
Yeah.
am interested in the definitions, the differences between control and command. But when we're controlling something, when we're managing something, dealing with the details, it again feels like this external loop. I don't know why now it's a horizontal loop, but it feels like this. And we're going like, okay, I'm going to bring this side in and this side in. And
Yeah.
I'm going to manage this and I'm going to control this situation and I'm going to. And when something's in our command,
Mm-hmm.
we say it and it responds. We
Mm-hmm.
do it and it happens. Like
Yeah.
it's a call and answer. There's something, go ahead.
It's the difference between, it's the difference between like something being like alive and something being like fixed, or like static or whatever. There is carbonation in command. Yeah, it still feels just out of reach.
What you're feeling is the spark, the life force,
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the effervescence in
Mhm.
that. It fizzles and goes flat when we think
Mhm.
about control and managing and efforting and trying and
Mhm.
doing my best and whatever. It like, ooh, it like sucks it all out. That's the suffocating, that's the depressing squeeze of it
Yeah.
all. But it's understandable. It's like how we talk about things socially, societally. That's in our lexicon. To talk about things, it was out of my control.
Mhm.
I couldn't, it's,
Mhm.
that's what it feels like
Yeah.
when you have it embodied and you know that you are capable.
Mhm.
It's being the author of your own story, the authority. I'm trying to think of all the things that I said in your reading. I
Yeah.
mean, I listened to your reading after I did it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God, this is so great. And it felt so wonderful and connected. And then I listened to it again after you emailed because I was like, oh, okay, I need to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
try these things out. And then I haven't listened to it since because I wanted the experience of listening to it again fresh right before talking to you.
Right.
To hear specifics and to feel how connected and synchronous the things that I felt for you, the things that I felt for Sarah, and the things that we've shared about her photo reading and clarity calls on the podcast. It's
Yeah.
just like, to hear myself say the things to you again with the time in between,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, it just was incredible.
What do you think that like now I'm curious about you. What does that tell you? I hear that and I'm like, okay, there must be something in this process that you have developed that is healing to a certain type of person. That is like my superficial thing that I hear when you're like, oh, I see the similarities, but what does it mean for you?
This feels like a layered answer. On the surface of why I felt there was a similarity, in the most bold, basic way I can say it, is both of you have it and you don't realize that you have it.
Yeah.
Both of you are so capable and so amazing. You didn't know this, but I put out a call, like this dolphin sonar feeling of I need support. This was something that I felt. And Sarah felt like she could help me. She could
Yeah.
offer me something. And so she extended an offer to get together on Zoom and write together. It was surprising to me. It was such a shocking sort of invitation that I was like, well, I'm interested. I got to
Yeah.
check this out. And that she saw me. She saw something. You
Yeah.
also saw me and you
Yeah.
saw something that
Yeah.
you could provide to me. That is unusual. Most
Yeah.
people see me and they take from me. I think the language caregiver and caretaker, people use both of those words interchangeably.
Yeah.
So I
And- yeah.
that's my deal. Words
Mhm.
and language. I feel the difference. I know that the three of us are caregivers.
Yeah.
Do we receive that care? Do we
Yeah.
give that care to ourselves? That's one part of it. I felt that you were offering me something. There was extension towards me that I felt energetically, and that
Yeah.
I trusted, that I knew that I could trust both of you, and that you were capable, but that also that you didn't realize it. And then that is similar to me. My capacity is huge. I know that I can handle it. People take advantage of that. I end up very depleted and disabled, and the betrayal, it's unfolding right now. The fact that we're having this conversation is the expanded photo reading that I wanted to do, that I was trying to figure out, that could have been so, it could have been so simple. It's so annoying to me. It's so annoying because it's like, I asked for what I wanted. I knew exactly all the pitfalls, I put it all out there. It was a setback over a year where I had to clean up this whole mess before I felt like I could really launch Plumb and do all the things that I wanted to do, to now feel like November 9th, 2022. I'm annoyed that I always have to say the date, but it's like, that's the point. That's the moment.
Yeah.
It's like from that moment, that day, you're fulfilling the prophecy.
Right. You, I get it.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like this conversation, this experience right now that we're having, you didn't know that that's what that feeling was. My experience reading people from all over the world, I get to see through the eyes of all of you and feel this experience of your position. That gives me fly eyes, like all the different little when I'm seeing the world, I'm speaking from that kind of wisdom, which
Yes.
is a unique experience to have. I created that. I chose that. I saw that I was capable of that and that it was in my command. It took something for me to trust myself and to trust this ability and to trust that this is something that people could even understand or want or be willing to give it a shot, even or think, like it's weird. I realize how weird it is, and it's effective. It works. Something is happening.
The idea that you can say things in a different way that people can hear it. I think that is such a gift. And I do think that is how, that is such a great way to say what you do, because because you're operating from a different place, I think, than most people receive, feedback or information. And you may be saying the same, like for me, I think about all the different ways that I'm trying to like fix myself or, whatever, but like all these things, you're saying it in a slightly different way that just opens up a whole new like lane of traffic. It's so interesting. It's great.
Well, thank you. You can feel that. You can see that. Again, to me, is evidence and proof, something that you could claim for yourself about how capable you are, how deeply you feel things, and what you notice about people. You have all the goods, you know all of the things. Before taking action, that pause to check in with yourself and to see where you're coming from. It made so much sense to me that professionally you would be rewarded for that ability. Not only in your childhood, this is my opinion, but I think you were rewarded for it in your childhood, that it was something that was seen as you being a good kid. Holley always helps out. Or I don't even have to worry about her. Whatever the phrases or the attitude was, built the foundation of your self-esteem and who you believe that you are. Then you go into a profession where that's the whole deal, is to not be who you are and to have needs and wants. You're rewarded for molding yourself into the character, and you do such an incredible job. It's amazing. Of course, that feedback loop That's the external loop. The feeling that I had was that you're looking to the audience, you're looking to the director, you're going like, okay, am I hitting my mark? Do I have my lines right? Am I emoting the things? But that's all from this external perspective,
Yeah.
watching you. If you are a member of the audience, viewing yourself from that external position, you're not really living your life. You're not
Right.
feeling the sensory experience of your life. You've been rewarded for that position. That's comfortable. That's automatic. If you can tell yourself that that makes sense,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is going to just be the default,
Yeah.
then it's in your command to have the clarity before you take action, before you put yourself into positions, to just check your position and go, okay, where am I operating from?
Yeah.
Is this an external thing or is it internal? Do I feel something here?
Right.
You felt something about me,
Mhm.
and you also felt something about you.
Mhm.
I really feel like if you do an inventory on some of the other times that you've helped, that is the thing that's going to be missing. You were hopeful, but you didn't know it, or you
Right.
didn't expect it. And I
Right.
think with me, you expected it,
Yeah.
that you would get something for you.
Yeah. That is, yes. Yeah. I really understand it though. I know that's right, you know. Because it's about it, yes, it's about command. It's about entering into things knowing that it will benefit me. It's bigger and softer than that, but those are the words now.
I think it is sometimes that simple and bold. There's layers to it, but at the root of it, it's not bad to
Right.
want there to be something for you. It's actually necessary. Ooh,
I know. Me too. Yeah.
but it
Because
has to be.
because eventually there'll be nothing left.
It's your life. And it's your experience of your life that matters. That's not the dream we're sold. It's not what we're told. How it's been going is really helpful to everybody else. We burn out, we
Yeah.
you squeeze the life out of everybody, and then we just discard them. That's how, unfortunately, we are with humanity at this current moment. What we're doing is profound, and it is helping. There is a ripple effect. I have been so clear. I am talking about myself. I'm talking to myself on the internet about my life. And I know that if that's my position, that it's me about me, me about me, that does create a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's evident.
Yes. Yes.
And I knew that if I was speaking from the position, I'm here to help everybody, or I'm an expert and I'm doing this, or I'm telling you what to do, that would create a completely different ripple that wouldn't be true to my authentic self, and it wouldn't actually help people. It wouldn't help me. We're sold this lie that it's selfish to like make, I think you even said at one point in this call, like, to make it about me. Make it about you. We don't know how much that will help other people. I just felt that that was true. I believed it. And now I have evidence that it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I trusted it before I had that feedback from everybody else, because I believed it.
Yeah.
And I was willing to try it because it felt important to me. A lot of what I'm doing is just modeling. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, not this kind of
Not the old
right,
mod.
right.
But you said that in when I re-listened, I heard that more this time around too, about you saying, I feel like I'm modeling this for you. And I felt it more this listen because I know what you mean, like
Yeah.
I know more of what you mean now than I did
Yeah.
a month ago or
And
whatever.
and there's always more. That's
Yeah.
something that I say. People have called me a know-it-all in a very derogatory way. And objectively, I do know a lot.
Yeah, you got fly eyes. So
Exactly. And I never think I know it all. I
Mhm.
never think this is it.
Right.
Oh, we got it. Case closed, wrap it up,
Right.
we're done. No, I'm continually curious. I know there's always more. For me, the juice that I'm squeezing is for me out of the experience. Every photo reading I do, I'm like, this is for me.
That's, yeah.
So when I did your photo reading, I knew when I checked in for the week and I'm just
Right.
like, okay, who's here? What's going on? What's the vibe? Your energy was
Yeah.
like, okay, something about this is for me.
Yeah.
And we're redefining mother. And I don't know what that means. I enjoyed the unknown. I was with your energy and in this dance, not knowing
Yeah.
because it felt important to me. It felt
Yeah.
like I wanted to. I didn't want to have it all figured out. I
Mhm.
wanted to be in that unknown. Even that is a part of the modeling.
Yes. You say, I mean, that is again something I've been talking about in talk therapy a lot is like I have a really hard time living in the unknown. And it would be helpful to me if I found enjoyment in that.
Do you want to say more about what the hard time is for you in the unknown?
My career has so much unknown built into it. The nature of the jobs make it feel like you're just at the mercy of other people that you never see or know or, I think part of like moving forward if I stay with acting is like I need to be okay with what I don't know. Need to remind myself that there will be a next step. There will be a step forward even if I don't see it right now. I feel like it's a little collective because I feel like society is, I'm really thinking about like the past 4 or 5 years, and like so many things have crumbled and been turned upside down and um, so many opportunities to rebuild that have been let go. So that compared with my career stuff and romantic stuff, everything that I thought I knew about what the future would look like for me in my 40s, 50s, 60s is not anymore. I think I have to be honest with myself that some of that might be that I don't want what I thought I want, but that maybe I don't quite yet know what the want is right now, the new want. I feel a little suspended. And part of it is because I don't believe enough that I will be able to make the moves forward. I think I still feel like somebody else needs to provide the next opportunity to know where I'm supposed to be. And that's not, as I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, it's not like a super powerful place to be in um, at all. But I think the nature of my career has really made that expected. I think like that's the way things go. Nothing's happening. And then somebody offers you a job or, you know,
Right,
and then you know what you're doing.
right.
And you do it great and it's done. And then I'm back to being suspended and like
Yeah.
waiting.
Do you hear the positional aspect of what you're saying? Let me ask a very simple question. When you have a job, when you've booked
Yeah.
something and you're working, do you feel safe,
Yes.
stable in that time?
Yeah. I mean, with all the little like creative, the slight like creative questions of, am I choosing the right choice with this character? That's kind of wavering. But when I get a job, I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this, of course.
Okay. Do you have anticipatory feelings of when it ends while it's happening?
I would say no, I actually don't.
Okay. Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah. There's always the knowledge that when this ends, I rarely know what my next job is. There's always the awareness of where I'll be returning to after the job.
What it feels like to me is that when you have a job, you have a solid point you're standing on.
Yes.
And then when you don't, you're in this suspended space, then land again on
Yes.
like another. So there's like a leapfrogging quality to what you're saying. Does that feel connected to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is like I feel like I am being placed in the next thing and that that I'm waiting.
Yeah. And so who's the claw? Who's picking you up and moving you? Do you know?
I mean, because this feels so career centered, the claw is like, I guess I'm really kind of thinking of it as the god of the business that deigns whether you're deserving. I mean, that is kind of how I think about it, which is weird.
It makes a lot of sense.
Right now, I just kind of feel like I'm out of favor with the claw.
What if I told you
Mhm.
you're the claw
I'm the claw.
and you've always been the claw?
What if I'm in favor with myself?
You got it. This is my feeling about God.
Yeah, please.
But what we're told is there's
Right.
somebody watching us. We're either doing a good job or we're doing a bad job. We're getting punished or rewarded.
Mhm.
There's somebody else external making the rules and decisions and placing us in different spots. What I feel Plum is
Uh-huh.
like the Plumb Bob.
Yep. Yep.
Something's up here holding you, and
Uh-huh.
then there's a line that connects you to the human meat sack experience.
Yeah.
But that this is also you up here. I have to talk myself through this, and it's so silly, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay, with the TikTok, I said something that I want people to hear. It doesn't get that many views. This is where our capacity and our capability comes in, where tenderness and esteem for ourselves, the mothering comes in. Did I do something wrong? No. There isn't some god of the algorithm saying it wasn't right, you did a bad job, you're not in favor. What's happening for you right now? What are you feeling?
I think it's just, I think I just feel like it's just so apparent to me how little I think about myself. I'm just like, my thoughts are always like thinking about like, how can I help this person do this? Or how can I, and I'm just like, what if I turned that energy on myself? And like, and I think I'm scared that I won't know how to do it. Um, I'm scared that I intellectually understand and that there's some like that there's some like gate that I can't quite break through to actually effectively care for myself or put that positive energy towards myself.
Yeah, that's so understandable that you would feel that way, and that that would be a fear that you'd have, or that it would feel like there's something in between you and that. You can sense it, but you can't touch it yet. That makes a lot of sense. That's again, can you comfort yourself? Can you extend tenderness to yourself? Those are the baby feelings. The baby is saying, I'm scared. I don't know that I'll know how to do it. And then, as the mother, as the claw, you say to the baby, and you go, of course, baby, you'll know how to do it. You're learning, you're growing, and I'm with you, and I'm going to show you, and we're going to figure it out together. You're not alone. You can reach out for support. I'm here with you all of the time. You are not alone. It's a part of development. You wouldn't look at an infant and be like, drive me to the airport.
Right.
You wouldn't demand that of an infant. So it's like, in this moment, of course, you're not going to know that you can do all of these things.
Right.
Because that's not where you are in your development with your baby. It's being realistic about that. You are so smart. You are brilliant. You are incredibly sensitive. You are intuitive. You are creative. I know that about you because I felt it. I didn't have to hear a peep. I didn't have to know a singular thing about you to know that for sure. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to, I don't want you, because I'm an external person. So I'm not directing you. I'm not telling you anything that you have to know as truth. But you can hear what I'm saying as a counterpoint. When I was doing hair, my clients would come in and they would say, like, well, about my job or my husband or whatever. And I'd be like, get a divorce, quit your job. That was before I refined my skills. But it was like, I'm going to say this other thing to balance out. Of course, Plumb would be a thing. This pendulum feeling of, okay, if society and everybody is telling you and you're telling yourself that you have to extend your career, of course you're looking for the director and you're looking for your agent or all of these people that nameless, faceless, but they're in charge of your life. Of course that's going to impact you.
Yeah.
Of course it would. And so it's understandable that that would infect and infiltrate every part of you because it is you.
Yeah.
It is you when you're acting. It is you.
Yes.
And that is why you're so great. And it's also then getting that clarity. And it's so similar to like how I feel doing photo readings. It's like, if I don't know what's mine, and then I connect with another energy, it's like connecting with a character. We merge into some amalgamation of something, what my responsibility is and what your responsibility is to yourself. If we feel like it's out of our control, then we feel powerless. Then we feel pressed. We get depressed. We feel there's the resentment and all of the things. But if we go, okay, it makes sense. It's logical. Of course, this is how the system is. I like to have fun and I like to think of things as gameplay. You know the rules of the game for being an actor. You know the rules of how things go. That's the framework that you're playing in. Well, you have good sportsmanship. You have been overextending yourself in these games. You've been doing too much. That leads you to not have fun in the game. It's pulling back, not all of it, but pulling back the parts that are not for those people, not for all of that, and getting really clear what is yours that stays yours, that is always yours, and what you can give from that.
That's great. Yeah. That's something like I'm already like, yes, I know how to look at that. And like, I know what you're saying.
That's why in your reading, it felt like, well, of course.
Right.
Obvious.
Right.
This is the parable. So use that to show you, oh, it makes me cry, show you who you are through this framework. That's the contrast. That's the mirror. That's the way you can then see, oh, that's not me. This is not what I want. This is so it's like when you're saying, I don't really know what I want. Sometimes a starting point is knowing what you don't want.
Yeah.
You've said things today that you don't want. I think that's great. You're writing, you're catching the words that are right there. you're witnessing it. One of the things that I heard that I had completely forgotten about in your reading was that I kept talking about the diner, and then I was like, there's such connections to the diner, and I'm feeling like there's stuff about the diner. And so my curiosity before getting on the call was like, I wonder if, because in your reading, I was like, oh, it's not time yet for the
Right.
diner. Like it just felt like that wasn't time. And so my thought was like, oh, I wonder if I'll like feel that it's time for the diner. It's never any pressure, but I do think you're ready for the diner. And like,
No, what's so funny is that like I am going to start it, and it now makes sense. Like I'm about to head back to Los Angeles in a couple weeks. I'm leaving this experience that has been almost a year now. I feel like I have a lot of new stuff in me, and I'm ready to do something else with that. And
yeah.
it just feels like it makes sense. I felt the same thing. I remember feeling that when I first listened to the reading, when you were like, I don't think it may not be now. I don't know if it's now. And I was like, yeah, it's not now. It's not now. But as I have done Plum practice more, I've gotten in touch with a part of me that I think what you've created is a map to, like I think it does lead you to this place within yourself that is like a very specific energetic space. I'm just like excited about it because I do feel like Plum practice led to being ready to like start something new with it as well. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Oh, I'm so excited. There's several things that you've said today that we've explored together. This loop feeling is the structure for the diner. It really is a game. We made it to be a game so that it feels fun. There's also parts of it that specifically for you that I think is going to be interesting. I mean, this is just, I assume, but when you're doing casting or self-tapes or things, you do self-taping.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So like that is a particular experience where I'm sure what you are observing of yourself, do you watch it back?
Rosalee, I haven't even thought about that. Like all I've been doing for the past, I mean, literally since the pandemic with work, making self-tapes, I've never connected that making a self-tape is a way for me to like witness myself in a different way. I know, but like still, okay, so go on.
I wish you could just, this is a weird thing to say, but I wish you could go inside my body for a second and feel what it felt like for me to be feeling all of this stuff about the casting calls that I experienced and all. It's like, I know because I've done this enough and I trust myself that any memory that pops into my mind from my personal experience isn't something that I'm just going to swat away and be like, no, why am I thinking about that? That's ridiculous. This has nothing to do with this. It's like, no, I kept feeling it for a reason.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying to me to know that you're an actor. And then in this moment, why I want you to feel what I'm feeling is because I knew that your experience of self-taping and watching it back is very different than what I instruct in the diner of recording yourself and witnessing yourself.
Yes.
Even though on the surface it looks exactly the same.
There's no way.
I cannot wait for you.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited for me because I know you're going to tell me your experience.
I definitely didn't tell you this, but being back at home, this is not the house I grew up in or anything like that, but the house that I lived in when my sister was born, my mom had a very premature, like traumatic. She started bleeding and had to be rushed to the hospital. And I was kind of just like tossed to the neighbors for a bit until family members could get to me. I went back to that house and I haven't been back. I asked my mom, I was like, where was it? And I drove by and I didn't have the exact number, but when I went by, I got really, really emotional. And then I know which house it was. I'm like, that's the house. When I was done, I like looking at the house, I was like, okay, I should probably drive home now. And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of doing that, I was hungry, and I was like, I'm going to treat myself like I would if I was with a 19-month-old who was like hungry.
Yes.
And I went and I like got some French fries and sat in a parking lot facing where the house was. And I just sat there, and without even, I just know the concept of recording yourself. I don't know the ins and outs, but I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit here and talk to myself about why I did this and what I'm doing. It felt important. And I know that it's like the beginning of something else. So,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. I want to acknowledge you for that. Do you hear yourself and what you're saying? Holly, you felt something.
Yeah.
You made the call to go to the house. You didn't know what was going to happen. That was, you picked
Yeah,
yourself up
you're right. You're
and
right. Yes.
you put
Yes.
yourself in the environment. And then you felt whatever you felt in the environment. And then you thought, here's another nudge. You didn't
Mhm.
know what the next step was going to be once you got to the house. You didn't know how you were going to feel. You didn't know what you were going to do. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You
Thank
trusted yourself. You
Yeah.
trusted that you would know when the
Yeah.
moment presented itself.
And there was something like corrective and healing and just in that like slight little bit, just just like acknowledging that like that space is tender for me.
You extended tenderness and compassion and softness to yourself. You comforted yourself with something that was good for your senses, that you had a sensory experience, that it was something that just felt like the move.
Yeah.
You did it. Like you didn't deny yourself or go, and that would have been fine. If you would have been like, well, I thought I should have a treat. And then I just went, no, that's ridiculous. And I left. I would have had a different response, but I still would have been supportive of you and thought
Yeah.
that it was great that you went and whatever. But the fact that you did feel a nudge and that you followed the feeling and then you recorded yourself in the moment, you made record of how you were feeling and what was happening and whatever. That was your only job in that moment. You didn't have to figure it out. You didn't have to make it make sense. You didn't have to know. You didn't know what the steps were before they were right under your feet. And you took them. That's huge. When I am saying to you that you are capable, that you have it, you do know. This is evidence of that.
Thank you. I thank you. I genuinely, I'm not considering the things that I think, the things that I'm afraid I won't be able to do or know how to do are actually things that I'm already doing.
Yeah.
I think I need the reminder or the witnessing that like that is what I'm doing. I'm so excited to start the diner.
I'm so excited too. Maybe
Yeah.
you won't continue acting. Maybe you won't.
Right.
Maybe you'll find some other offshoot of it or angle of it or something. Maybe, I don't know. But if you do, it will feel different.
Mhm.
It will be an embodied experience.
Mhm.
You will feel in command of it.
Mhm.
Your self-tapes will have a totally different experience.
Mhm.
The beauty of Plum practice, part of it is that there is a connection to me and to Sarah and to what we're talking about and whatever, and that it is this gentle and incremental. It's a way to connect with yourself and to practice. I mean, that's why it's called practice, because it's a practice. It's 1 hour a week. It's something that is simple. Yeah, I can do that. And then the diner is self-led. I'm not going to be sending you an email to remind you to participate. It also doesn't have the personal details. I think that's what makes the diner its own special thing. It's a how-to guide. It's instructional. I don't know what to do. You've said, like, I don't know what the steps are. Well, here is something. It's the structure, the framework. When I'm saying like you understand the framework of the studios and the this and the that, and then you can play the game. When you understand this framework, you can play this game for the rest of your life. It will help that inner loop. I mean, the fact that it's loops and layers is part of the structure, that it's like we take what feels automatic and natural and then make it intentional, bringing something specific to this experience and distilling it down. And it does feel like that is exactly the point that you're at. That's where you landed, is the moment where it's like, okay, well, now how?
Yes.
So it's very exciting. It's really so inspiring and satisfying to me to witness you.
I'm so glad it's working, like I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, and I'm really excited. And just this last 5 minutes, I'm like, right, thank you. You have like I'm doing more than I am giving myself credit for. And I also think I need to like open up I just have human eyes. So I've gotta like I've gotta open them up a little bit. Take my blinders off, I think.
You're doing a great job. My opinion is you don't have to do anything different than what you've been doing. You are doing it. I do think that it's you claiming it, you just acknowledging yourself for it, because it's there. That's really the message of your whole reading, and what I felt the connection with Sarah. I see you both so clearly, and you just aren't seeing yourself accurately. It is there. And it's understandable why you're seeing yourself through the lenses of these other people who have wanted and needed something from you. It's more convenient for you not to see it so that you just keep giving. That's the whole deal about boundaries. Why we need them is for ourselves to maintain our life force, our source, so that we're not depleted, so that we can actually help other people. You are so great. You're doing it. It's an honor to witness you and to be a part of your experience and your journey. I am so thankful that you followed the nudge to connect with me.
Me too. I'm glad you put out that sonar.
Yeah, everything you said in the last 5 minutes is my dreams come true. You have fulfilled the thing that you thought you were going to give me. I'm so thankful for that.
Thank you. I'm really happy. I'm good.
And this is just the beginning. I hope that we continue to connect.
Absolutely.
I would love to have follow-up conversations. I am such a fan of you, not the characters you play, but you. And I want you to have the sensory experience of your life, because it is your life and it is so brilliant. You are on your way to really knowing that for sure.
I feel it.
Yeah. Is there anything else for today that you'd like to say?
This was above and beyond even what I expected, which was already, very positive. I feel great. I'm absolutely going to keep in touch, and I'll let you know like what's happening.
I would love that. The starting point energy, being together, whatever was going to naturally unfold was what I was excited for. This has been really a beautiful conversation.
I feel like something has like opened up. I'm really, really looking forward to the rest.
My recommendation is to be really gentle with yourself the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Maybe drink a little extra water and give yourself little treats or anything that would feel good to you. If that's some soft textural things that would be comforting, maybe to a baby, things that feel soft and supportive. Even though this was a beautiful, energetic experience, it still was a full and energetic experience.
I feel it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Be in that thoughtful and comforting mother energy for yourself for the rest of the day feels really important. Not push yourself. It would be understandable to feel energized or excited or inspired by this conversation and then push further.
Yes.
I'm saying this to both of us. It's
Yes.
okay
Yes.
if we end up doing nothing else today,
Right.
or if we don't contribute to society today,
Yes.
or
Yes.
help anybody else. Do your little tasks, do the things that you need to do, but don't push yourself. Don't extend beyond. Really add some extra supplemental comfort to yourself.
I will.
Okay. And then just one other little recommendation, because I really hear it as far as like the claiming. So this is something that I have personally found such enjoyment in, is creating a magic list. I've talked about it on the podcast. I don't know if you've heard that episode.
Yes, I have.
It feels like a very simple way to get into real clear connection with yourself about what you like about yourself. That's the simplest part of it. Noticing what you like about you and having an ongoing list of it. And it seems like, how could that possibly make a difference? Why would that be anything? But I have to tell you, I consider myself a bit of a scientist. I put my little white lab coat on and I do my little studies on myself. I have changed nothing except this magic list. That's the only thing I've added. I keep everything else in my experiments. In the last, I think it's maybe 6 weeks, several videos have more than 1 million views, 20,000 new followers on TikTok.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's the only thing that has changed. It's the intention of the magic list, or why I felt it in Plumb practice when I wrote it initially, was like, okay, if I say these are things that I like about myself, and I know that anything that I put on this list will grow, that it will expand. And so when we're talking about expanding and the painful feeling of expansion, what's the good part of expanding? What's the magic? What's the sparkly stuff? I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to win the lottery. The experiment of what would happen. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to put these things on my magic list and I'm going to get 20,000 new followers. That wasn't the intention or thought at all. I am saying that I like these things about myself. That is just shifting something without any effort, without any trying. I didn't start doing dancing videos or like I didn't switch up my content in any kind of way. It's just me sitting here talking the same,
I just pictured you doing.
It's like, that would be cool if I could do all that, but that's not, and so it's like, I know that the only thing is this magic list. And so for me, that has been really cool and interesting. It feels like something that you could potentially add if you wanted to. I aim to add one thing a day. There are multiple days I haven't written anything down, and then there's days where I write multiple things down. But it's the intention of, I am available to notice things that I like about myself. And if somebody says something to me and I go, you know what, I agree with that. I like that.
I do know that to be true. Yes.
Right. I don't then just take the compliment from somebody and put that on my magic list. I take the compliment and go, well, what do I feel about it? What about it is resonating with me? Why do I like that about myself? That's what I put on my magic list, and have that be this thing that I'm like, yeah, I do like that.
This session has also made me realize, I think I've already said this once, but I don't think about myself very much.
It's not what do I love about myself? That's a totally different thing. It's what do I like? What do I like about myself? Ooh, you just did this.
Like,
and then if you turn it that way, I just think that's
Okay,
very interesting.
okay. I think it's interesting too. Okay, I see where you're going.
So it's
I
like when you
can
feel
access
it,
that.
when you feel it this way, you pull it down into you, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
and move yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
It's great.
Good image. Yep.
Yeah. And it's those simple things, holding
Yes.
something that's easy for you to hold and to understand. That's the mirror to
Yes.
hold the contrast up to, and to go, okay, does it feel like that? You know?
What you do is really, it is a reminder, and I think of this energetic, it really is just within your mind flipping like ever so slightly the way you like the you know what I mean? Like when you feel what you're thinking, like it is, and it goes all the way, it just loops right back around to that image of like, because it is astounding like how much just an internal knowledge of shifting energy or perspective for yourself just a little bit. I already feel how that has changed me. So thank you for
Oh,
that.
you're so welcome.
Like truly all of this is from that, from speaking with you and the reading. It works. It really does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You felt that you could show me
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You are showing me that.
Yeah.
I see that in you.
Yeah.
And it's like we intellectually think that we have to work hard at it, and it's effort, and we have to I have to learn about this, and I have to understand attachment theory, and I have to do,
Mhm.
and it's like I don't want to shit on everybody else's deal.
Sure.
But it could be more fun than that. It
Yeah.
could be more simple than that. It's noticing, and they're so subtle that we swat them away. We think
Yes.
that they're insignificant. We think that couldn't possibly make a difference. But you are evidence of that it does make a difference. It's a shift in perspective, seeing yourself differently, understanding that you have been seeing yourself this one way because that's the way that you needed to see yourself to survive the situation, to be the kind of person that helped other people and did all this and it benefited them. Nobody else is going to tell you that that's not true, or that you could look at it another way because it works for them that you see yourself that way.
Right.
No, not around here. It's like, I know that who you are meant for more. And
Yeah.
you can feel that, that about yourself. So you're efforting, you're trying to experience that more.
Yeah.
So it's like you have it to give, but you've just been giving it,
Yep.
And so it's like going, oh, you said it. What would happen? What
Mm-hmm.
would I experience if I put all of the energy that I was putting out, giving to others? What would happen if I gave that to myself? That's a profound question. We don't know
Right.
for sure how it's going to look or what it's going to be. And then that's like the unknown. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that could feel scary. That could feel like, well, it could be anything. Or it could feel like it could be anything,
Right.
Holley. It could be anything.
And at the end of the day, it's like kindly tending to myself. So like it's gonna be good.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
You. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. This has been wonderful.
Same. I agree. Please tell Sarah I say hi.
Yes. And she's like, you know what she said to me? She sent me a message and she goes, if you don't tell me immediately after you get off the call with Holley, I'm going to throttle you. She's never threatened me before. She's never said anything like that to me before. And I went, okay, throttle me. What does that even mean? What are you going to do? And I'm like, of course, immediately I'm going to end the Zoom and I'm going to, okay, and what I'm going to say is like, it was perfect. You're exactly, I mean, it's like when you sent that first email, the feeling I had was like, oh, here's Holley. Like
Yes.
that's
Right.
it. I just, it was like, oh yeah, you've been familiar to me. And it's like, because you're you.
Yes.
There's similarities, yes, but it's your energy that I recognized. And
Yeah.
I believe you recognize my
Yeah,
energy. And it's,
absolutely.
you know,
100%.
so it's just, it's really cool to now have the, like this experience, like a
I agree.
normal experience.
Yes, yes. It's really, it's great. It's just supportive of what we already knew, you know.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we will get this sent out to you soon. And I am so just thankful, and we'll just keep in touch.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a really cool story. And if you haven't listened to parts 1 and 2, where you hear the photo reading and the pre-reading, please go back and listen to those as well. This episode stands alone as a really beautiful conversation, but those first 2 parts are essential in the story unfolding to ultimately show Rosalee's dream come true. If you'd like to book a Plum Point intuitive photo reading for yourself, you can click the link in the description box of this episode, and it'll take you to our website where you can find out more information about photo readings, and you can click the link to book. We'll also include links to Plum Practice and our online course, The Diner, which are both resources and supports that we created through the Plum Collective to support people after photo readings, but you don't have to have a photo reading to benefit from both of these resources. Tune in next week for a new episode of the Plum Podcast, where you'll hear a new conversation unfold from a new starting point. The conversation will be different, but we will always express ourselves authentically, and we create the space for you to do the same.